In 1999, 18-year-old Hae Min Lee vanished after school. Her body was found buried in a park. Her ex-boyfriend, Adnan Syed, was convicted. But now, new evidence has emerged. The case exploded nationally. Podcasts, Netflix documentaries. Thousands debated Syed's guilt online. But in 2026, shocking new evidence surfaced. A new witness, a hidden phone record, and most shocking, DNA evidence that doesn't match Syed. Today, we examine what this new evidence really means. Welcome to The Hidden Truth. Hae Min Lee was a senior at Woodlawn High School in Baltimore. She was 18 years old. Bright, popular, and full of promise. She was Korean American. She loved music. She had a close relationship with her family. She dreamed of becoming a nurse. On January 13, 1999, she went to school like any other day. Classes ended that afternoon. Hae was supposed to pick up her younger cousins. She never arrived. By that evening, her family knew something was terribly wrong. That night, Hae Min Lee never came home. Her family contacted police. Friends were questioned. Classmates searched. But there were no witnesses, no clear leads, no answers. Days passed. Then, weeks. Posters went up across Baltimore. Phone calls led nowhere. For 27 days, Hae Min Lee was missing, until February 9, 1999. A maintenance worker entered Leakin Park, a wooded area on the edge of the city. What he discovered would change everything. Hidden beneath fallen leaves in Leakin Park was a shallow grave. Inside it was Hae Min Lee. The medical examiner ruled her death a homicide. Cause of death, manual strangulation. There were no signs of sexual assault. Investigators estimated she had been killed on the afternoon she disappeared. The timeline mattered. Every minute mattered. And now the search for answers turned into a murder investigation. As investigators worked the case, their focus quickly narrowed. Attention turned to someone Hae knew well. Her ex-boyfriend, Adnan Syed. They had dated. They had broken up. Adnan was 17 years old at the time. Police questioned him repeatedly about the day Hae disappeared, what he did, where he went, who he spoke to. Soon, the investigation centered almost entirely on him. The prosecution's case was built on one key witness, a friend of Adnan's named Jay Wilds. Jay testified that Adnan had shown him Hae's dead body in the trunk of her car that day. He said Adnan confessed to the murder and asked Jay to help bury her. Jay agreed and pleaded guilty to being an accessory. He received a suspended sentence. Cell phone records also placed Adnan near Leakin Park at the time of the murder, according to prosecution arguments presented at trial. The prosecution argued this proved guilt. In 2000, after 2 trials, Adnan Syed was found guilty of first-degree murder, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and robbery. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. Then in 2014, something unexpected happened. A podcast called Serial brought the case national attention. Sarah Koenig, an investigative journalist, spent months researching every detail. Thousands of listeners became obsessed with the case. Netflix made documentaries. Opinions split. Was Adnan actually guilty, or was he wrongly convicted? In 2016, a judge vacated his conviction, but this decision went back and forth through appeals. 1 year he was free, the next year his conviction was reinstated. But in 2022, something shifted. Baltimore prosecutors announced they would conduct new DNA testing using modern technology that didn't exist in 1999. They tested evidence that was never tested before. The results shocked everyone. DNA found on Hae Min Lee's shoes, both shoes, showed a mixture of multiple contributors, but Adnan Syed's DNA was excluded. His DNA was not found in the tested samples. The prosecution dropped all charges in October 2022. Adnan Syed was freed after 23 years in prison. He was released. But here's where it gets complicated. In March 2023, an appellate court reinstated his conviction. Why? Not because of evidence of guilt, but because Hae's family, specifically her brother Young Lee, claimed they weren't properly notified about the hearing where his conviction was vacated. They said their rights as a victim's family were violated. In August 2024, the Maryland Supreme Court agreed. They reinstated Adnan's conviction on procedural grounds, but allowed him to remain free while further legal proceedings continue. As of the most recent court rulings, Adnan Syed remains free, though his legal status continues to be contested. So where does the case stand today? Officially, Adnan Syed has a murder conviction, but he's free. No charges pending. The prosecution hasn't said if they will try him again. The DNA evidence excluded him from the tested items, but it also didn't identify who the real killer was. Jay Wilds, the star witness, later gave an interview to The Intercept in 2015, where he claimed he had been pressured by police to change his testimony multiple times. Police denied this, but the inconsistencies in his story became undeniable. There were other suspects investigators could have pursued. Don Kleinsmith, Hae's new boyfriend at the time, questions about his alibi. But police focused on Adnan early and never shifted focus. There were also questions about the cell phone tower data. In 2022, experts said the technology was unreliable by modern standards. Towers could indicate location, but the data was much less precise than prosecutors claimed in 2000. So, what actually happened to Hae Min Lee? Who really killed her? The truth is, more than 25 years later, nobody can say with absolute certainty. There's the conviction, but there's also reasonable doubt. There's the DNA evidence, but there's also missing answers. Hae Min Lee's case became so famous that it changed how we think about criminal justice in America. It raised questions about eyewitness testimony, about police bias, about whether our justice system can truly find the truth. Her family still seeks closure. Adnan Syed still maintains his innocence, and the person responsible for her death has never been definitively established beyond dispute. This is one of America's most famous and most debated murder cases. Not because we don't know what happened, but because everyone who has studied the evidence comes away with a different conclusion. What do you think happened to Hae Min Lee? Was Adnan guilty, or was he falsely convicted? Comment your theory below. And if you want to hear more about cases like this, subscribe to Hidden Truth TV. We investigate the stories that keep you questioning. New documentaries every Wednesday and Friday. Thank you for watching, and remember, truth is often hidden. That's why we search for it.